Hello everyone, welcome back. In my last video, we have discussed about the actions. What all are the different kind of actions are available, and we have defined some of the actions in our manage scenario. To implement those actions, we need to learn first the modify statement for the behavior definition language, or the modify statement for our business object, we can say. To understand the modify statement, it is the same way. There is a three kind of the read statement for business object. In the same way, we have the three form of the modify statement as well: short form, long form, and the dynamic form. Short form can be performed on the single entity multiple instances. Long form can perform on the multiple entities multiple instances, and the dynamic form we can club lot of multiple statement together and in the operation tab, and we can pass to the modify entity statement that also perform in single go multiple reads. So these are the three kind of modify statement are there. Modify statement cover the not only the normal modify, it will cover the create by association, update and delete. Apart from that, we have execute also that will perform the actions and function. These are the statements are there. Create will create the new BO, either it will create the root entity or it will create the child entities based on our requirement. Create by association, using the root entity we can create the childs of that particular root entity using in the create by association. Update will modify the existing entities, delete will delete, and the deletion also affect the node. When we delete the root entity, it will delete automatically child entities also, because they have tightly coupled relationship compositions. And execute will perform the actions and function. As I told you, all modify operation must be specified in the rep behavior definition. That's mandatory. If you are performing any operation on the rep BO, first you should specify those all the operation in your behavior definition, then only you can perform those operations in the on that particular business object. Otherwise you will not able to perform those one. So these are the syntax are there. We have to specify the field specification also, that we will discuss in the detail when we jump into the system. What all are the field specifications are there. To understand the modify operation, we have created the one class called YCL modify practice. The same way we created in my previous video read practice, we have created one class. In the same way I created another class. So in this one we will see the different variant of the modify operations. As I told you, we can pass the different form of the field specifications. So first we will talk about we can pass after the form directly the field table, or we can say based on that table you want to create, modify or delete, whatever you want to do, you have to specify in that particular field table. So let's start with the create operation first. So for doing the modify operation, you have to specify modify, and here if you want to use the longer form, then you have to use modify entities of. If you want to use the shorter form, you just have to use modify entity. Then you have to give your entity name which you want to modify. In this case, yi underscore travel takem I have to give. Once you give that name, then what operation you want to do? You want to do create by association, update or delete. What operations? As of now I want to do create operations, and this is after the create you have to use the one of the form. Either you have to use form field tab, autofill CID. This we will talk later. As of now I am using the from field tab. So let me use from, and here again after the from you have to give the field specification of the table. What all are the field you want to create, and you have to pass all the fields from here. Either you can create this table explicitly here, then type table for create operation, and then you can specify this yi underscore travel takem. It will create the structure and then fill, or you can do the inline as well. So in this case I'm filling this table inline. So value, and you have to push hat. Since it is the internal table, we have to use multiple brackets. So what I will do now, let me put enter. So first what I will fill, so let me open this particular travel takem business object first. Control Z. We will see parallelly. Let me minimize this explorer which is not needed now, and let me open this one, and let me decrease this size because we will be needing more field. So from the travel, we know already this travel ID field is read only. So we no need to pass the travel ID field. But whenever we do the create operation, when we saw in the debug mode for the create operation, it was passing some CID. So we have also how to pass the CID. Content ID is mandatory for the create operations. If you don't pass the CID, the system will give dump. There should be some identifier for that particular business object entity until our actual primary key is available. In this case, travel ID available, we should have some CID. Let me to pass the CID, if you do control space, you will get the value help, because this will be derived from this particular entity, and we can pass any value, any constant value. Let me pass CID1 something, or you can use the standard form also. There is one form is there. I will show you what actually we have to use, that also I will show you, but as of now you can pass any string value. Second thing, you have to pass the data along with the control structure. Control structure is mandatory because control structure will say which field you want to modify or which field you want to create actually. You have to give those field value as well in the data tab. So either you can use directly data tab, or you can use directly field name as well. But in this case, I'm accessing my data, so I will get which data I want to modify. As of now, only one field I will modify, but in real time, because I know the begin date is available, I can pass any begin date. Let me pass some constant value, 2024 02 25. Let me pass this today's date. Once you pass this date, and you have to pass the control structure also for this particular date. So that's a mandatory. Control structure will say that this particular control structure, this particular value, begin date, we have to pass on. So for passing on, ABP underscore behave, ABAP behave, and we have structure called control space MK, and we have to pass the value as a on, or either you can pass directly 00 and 01. So in this case, if you see the on, what is the actual value we are passing? On means F2, if you can do here, not F1, sorry, F2, you can see 01 we are passing. Off, there will be 00. Directly you can pass 01 as well. Means this field value we are passing, we are telling system. One more thing, travel ID we are not passing, since we are using the early numbering. So early numbering, when we are using, it will automatically generate the travel ID and assign to that particular field. So this one value only I have passed. So let me see how it is working. I have passed modify entity, why travel account, and I have created, and I have to get the result back as well. So we have to pass the response parameters. Either it can be failed, then we have to pass final keyword. I forgot to explain. It's like the same data. In my last video I told you, I explained it's same. We can declare the final variable. Once we declare this final variable, we can only read those variables. We can't modify this particular variable as soon as it got filled. So in this case, IT underscore failed. But if you use here data statement instead of final, you can modify as per your requirement. So that is the difference between data and inline data declaration and inline final declaration. And we can have result parameter, or mapped is required, mapped final, and IT underscore mapped I can get, IT underscore mapped. And we have the last thing, reported result reported parameter. Sorry, I think we did some mistake here. Control Z, we have to remove the space. Reported parameter, that also can get in the IT underscore result, or reported, we can say something. Okay, if you see here, if you do F2 not here in the create operation, if you do, we have implicitly this particular variables are already declared, so you can fill, it will automatically fill this particular variable. So we have to make sure this we are creating using the this particular travel entity we are creating using the modify entity. So shift F1 and let me do some write statement. So we can use the object out is there, out write state write, and we can pass the values which we want to write. For example, I want to pass in the failed case, Control V, if IT failed is not initial, there is some issue, then we will print IT failed, else we can pass the result tab, Control C. Anyway, result tab will be blank in this case. We have, if you want to read the data back, then we have to read the data, else we have to read the data with this particular ID to see the data is available or not. So we will see, no need to worry, but still let me see the data if it is filled or not. Shift F1, Control F3. Now what I will do, I will close this session, I will put one breakpoint and let me do F9. You can see debugger got triggered. Let me do F5 for this statement. Oh, we have already one breakpoint on the, I did F5, so you can see early numbering method got triggered for that create operations. Okay, let me do F7, or let me put one breakpoint here, that will be better in if statement, and let me do F8. So it will create, let me see the values if something got filled. IT failed is blank, I think so. If we are not having any issue, means it is failed, it is successfully created. Mapped is filled with one value, means one value that will be which, you can see 4184 is created successfully with CID1, content ID1 we have passed, same the framework were passing, we have passed the CID1. For the CID1 in the internally 4184 travel ID got created, but in IT result you will not get anything, I think so. You will not get anything. If you want to read the result back, you have to again use the read operations. So let me do F8 and see my table, the data is actually got created or not. To see the table, you have to open that your business object and project state table Techem, and you have to do F8 to see the data. Obviously, let me close this table now, not needed. So let me, you can see 4183 got created only with the begin date, other field we have not filled. So you have to, ideally we have to fill each and every field to see, but to just show you it is creating, I have created this particular modify. Now what I will do, not only I will do the create, along with that I will do the create by association also. Create by association, what we will do, so along with this particular travel instance, for this I want to create the child also. So we have to use create by statement, backward slash, control space you will do, and underscore booking you have to write. Once you will do create by association, you have to pass the value table again from like we did above, from value, and you have to pass the value table has, and again we will be having the table structure, table kind of structure. Here very important thing, since we are creating the booking instance along with the travel instances, first we have to pass the CID reference field. So CID reference field tell, since at this point of time we don't know what will be the travel ID, so we have to pass the CID reference field, that will be the CID one, which for which parent you want to create the child. If you have travel ID available, then you directly pass the travel ID, but in this case we don't have available the travel ID, so that is the reason we will use the content ID reference field. So along with this field we have to pass the target, since we already know the structure of the create by association. We have the root entity key fields, then we have the child entity. If you don't know, then you can create one data like this data. So for example, LT book type table for create by association, create travel entity you have to pass here, control C, control V, backward slash, control space, booking you have to pass, And if you see this table structure F2, you will have the travel ID, and then you have the target field. Here I can declare like this also, and I fill this one, and directly I can pass here, but I did inline declaration. So you have to make sure you always do inline declaration. So in this case I'm not getting help, that is the reason. Percentage, if you do control space, as of now I'm not getting help, so not an issue. Target I can pass, and you can, in the target again we have to pass one value table, and this will be a value table, so it will be internal table basically. Again, internal table where we can pass the multiple entities. You can see, if you don't know how I am knowing that it's an internal table, you can see we have the travel ID we have passed. We don't have travel ID, so we have to pass the CID reference. If you have travel ID, you can pass the travel ID. So you have the target again the table, and this is the derived type. Again we have the CID field. So you have to make sure this content ID field we have to pass to create for the booking line item. So this content ID, if you see, the content ID field each time in your running program should be different. In this case I have passed CID 1, so I pass CID 11 for first child instance, CID 11. So it should be different. So CID 1, and apart from the content ID we have to pass the data. The same way we have to pass the, if you do F2 over here, again if you don't know, then you just come here. We have travel ID, no need to pass. Booking ID, no need to pass. It will be automatically generated through our early numbering program. Booking date we can pass. Booking, I will pass as of now one field only. I don't want to spend too much time. Booking, and we have to pass in the control structure as well. And you can use either data is there available, percentage data is available. You can use percentage data, or you can directly fill that booking. Either you can use booking date field, or you can pass the date, booking date here, 2024 02, anything you can use which is valid, 16. And in this booking date, this is my booking date, and you can use the percentage data / booking date, that is also fine, but mandatory to pass control structure because you are changing this one. So in the control structure you have to tell control. It's not giving me help, not an issue. If I do control space, now I am getting help, no. So in this case, booking date we have to pass, booking date, it should be on, control C. So I have closed this one, I have create by association, along with the create, it is there. Shift F1. So let me do F2 over again. So just to confirm, I have passed correct field, booking date is there, and in the control structure also booking date is there. And the data, if you want to access to data also, you can access data. So this is, I shown you both way. Here I use the data composite group, we call them F2. If you do what we call them, component group, sorry, not composite group. Either you can use the component group to access the data, or you can access directly data. In this case, either you can use directly booking date, or you can use the percentage data component group to access the component. Like we can access the key component group to access the keys. So like that, you also this way, or if you use this way, both are same. It's very important to learn these small things in real time. Sometimes if we don't know, we don't understand also. So like that also I can do this, and other way, both are same. So let me activate this program, control F3. Now not only it should create the booking entity, it should create the it's not only it should create the travel entity, it should create the booking entity as well. So we have already breakpoint. Let me do F8, control F3, and let me put breakpoint here as well, and let me do F9. I want to see the result in console if it is something wrong. So let me do F5 here, the create and create by association, early numbering I have breakpoint. Let me do F8. So you can see IT failed is initial now. You can open this structure and see it is initial. But if you see the IT mapped, since we have created successfully the two table code field, one for the travel and one for the booking. What new travel ID got created? It is created 4185, and for the, if you see the item table, we have 4185, child number 10 also got created. Let me do F8 and see in the table also, or you can read back also. I show you how to read this, how to do the read operation. You can read back those data also, but let me show you table level directly. If you refresh it, now 4183 got created. No, it didn't create it, sorry guys. So one thing we have missed, 4183 was already there. So it was not created previously also, and now also it is not created. Why it is not created? Because we didn't use commit entities. This one, when I did practice purpose, that time it got created. So sorry for that. But to persist your data, you have to do mandatorily commit entities. Then only it will save the data. So let me use commit entity statement. Otherwise, or else you can, in the else form, you can use the commit entity statement here. Commit entities. Except F1, Control F3. I missed that part, not an issue. You have to do commit entities, then only your modify statement will work, otherwise it will not work. It will not persist the data in the database. That is the reason database table I can't see any impact. That was old one which I created previously. So that is the reason. So let me do one more time F8, not an issue. Not F8, F9 you have to do. To run in the console, let me do F8. So this time what it got created, let me see in the mapped table, IT mapped. If you open this one, we have one booking, one travel. What booking and travel created, we can see 4186 with 10. You have to remember 4186 with 10. So let me do, till now it is not available. If you see refresh is 4183 is available, 4186 is not available till now. So let me go to my, again, let me do F8. Let me come here again and refresh again. You can see now it got created 4186. 4186 is created. If you want to see the booking entity also, you have to come to behavior app and you have to go to your persistent table of booking. You can do F8 for that as well to see it got created or not. F8. Let me close this one. Let me descending order, and 4186 10 it got created successfully only with the booking date. Other fields are blank. Like that you can also practice with simple create operation, and after the creating, if you want to read, I already shown you how to read. You can use the read statement by association or read statement, simple entity statement to read data break. This is the first form, but this is very mandatorily to use in case of if you are performing the delete and execute operation. So that is very, if you can't do delete and execute operation with other forms. So let me show you the delete operation. Obviously execute we can't perform because we didn't created yet our any action or function. So at least we can perform the delete operation. So same way we have to use modify entity name, modify entity. I will use sorter form, and you have to use entity name y underscore travel taken. And this time instead of create, I will do delete operation. Delete from, and you have to pass mandatorily form here. You can't pass other form, and you have to pass the values. In the value tab, you have to pass the key fields only, because you are deleting. If you see only the key fields enough. Percentage key, control space you can do. Travel ID we have, or which travel ID you want to delete, which I just have created, that only I want to delete. 4183 and 4186. So let me delete the 4183 because 4183 is not available here in the booking. So let me delete alone 4183 first. Let me delete 4186. So it will delete not only, since it is the composition relation, it will not only delete from the table, it will delete from the child instance as well. So let me use 4186. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 4186. Either you can use the alpha conversion also inline if you don't want to write an entire key. And let me get the result. Control C, Control V. Let me do, you can see I'm getting the error. You can't redeclare the final statement. You can see you can't modify the final. Already declared, and even if it is not already declared, and if you are reusing, if I want to use reuse IT failed, you can't reuse. Still I'm getting error. IT failed cannot be modified because it is declared as a final. But if you declare as a data, then it can be modified. So let me comment it out above statement, or let me declare new one. This time I will declare final IT failed 1. IT failed 1, and mapped 1 result 1. So mapped 1 result 1. Okay, let me put one breakpoint. Let me do same thing, Control C, Control V, and Shift F1, Control F3. Remove the other breakpoints. I don't need these breakpoints, but at least I need this breakpoint. This also I don't need, and I need this one, and I don't want to print this also. Control F3. I just want to see this entities got deleted or not. Let me do F9. To do F9, let me see if it got deleted or not. F6, so you have to see map failed data. If something went wrong, nothing went wrong. I think mapped is got filled in this case or not. Mapped also not filled in this case, and result tab, result also not got filled. Nothing will be filled. To check it is got deleted or not, you just have to read back those data. If Sysabas is got filled, that means deleted, otherwise it is not deleted. So let me do F8 and let me come to ABAP perspective back and see this data got deleted or not. It will not only get deleted from the 4186 got deleted. You can see there is no 4186. It created another one also, 4187, because I didn't comment it above code. But you can see here 4186 is there. Let me refresh. It deleted 4186 and created 4187. Why it got created? Because I didn't commented the above code. So this create is working along with the delete. So not only delete the parent entity, it delete the child entity as well. And if you just delete from instead of booking table also, you can delete. Just I want to delete instead of travel, I want to delete from the booking instance, booking taken, and in this case delete from, I have to pass the travel ID as well, and I have to pass the multiple thing. In this case I have available 87, and since it is booking table, so we have the multiple key fields here. Percentage key, if you do control space, booking ID also there, we have to pass the booking ID also. In this case 1210. So this is how. I don't want to create again new one, so let me do Control Shift less than, Control F3, and if you see this time the travel entity 4187 will be not deleted, but the booking entity 4187 will be deleted. So let me do this thing, Shift F1, IT failed one, Control F3. Let me do one time more, F9. So let me do F8, come to ABAP perspective, or let me refresh the table 4187. Let me see it got deleted or not. In the travel it didn't got deleted, but in the booking, if you see and refresh 4187, this one, if you refresh the data, it got deleted. So like that this delete statement work. Why I shown in the form of this particular delete statement explicitly? Because you can't use other form along with this particular delete statement. Part 2 of the modify statement, there is a little bit difference. So for first what I will do, let me comment it out my current statement, and let me copy this statement, Control C, and in the part 2 let me paste this one. So what we have to do in this one, Autofill CID we have to use. Whenever we are using the Autofill CID, the CID we don't need to pass explicitly, it will automatically derive. But one more important thing we have to remember, if you have to do create along with the create by association, that time you have to pass the CID only. There is no other way, because that time, let me uncomment this one first and explain. Let me do Control Shift greater than, what happened, create, this is the Control Shift greater than. So in this case we no need to pass CID, but if I don't pass CID, then what value I will pass here? So that is the reason, if you are using auto form, you can't use the create along with the create by association. So that is the reason first I have to remove this create by association statement, delete. And one more thing, if you want to use the second form create, after that you have to use auto fill CID. then you have to pass with statement. Instead of from value, you have to pass the with. In this case, with the filled tab you can derive, and CID no need to pass, as I told you, because CID will be derived automatically, and you have to pass the data field with the value. Obviously you have to pass with the value, and you no need to pass CID, because CID will be filled automatically and other thing will remain same. So let me create this one with different date. Let me pass 29 Feb 2024, Control F3, Shift F1, and let me deactivate all the breakpoint. I just want to show you the result. So to deactivate all the breakpoint, we have one button here. You can see nearby this skip all breakpoint button. You can select, it will not trigger any single breakpoint, and we can do F9 directly. I did F9 since I didn't write anything. I can go to the travel entity and see one new travel entity should be created with this 29 Feb 2024. So let me see my travel entity table. As of now, there is no new entity. 4187 is existing one. Let me refresh. You can see 4188 created with the 29 Feb 2024. So this is the another way. In that way, we no need to pass the CID. CID will be automatically filled by the framework. So that is again one new syntax, autofill CID with the fill tab. There is another one form where we can pass the autofilled CID is the autofill CID. Obviously we can pass create and create by association only. If I'm using the independently create by association directly on booking, then also I can pass the autofill CID. Instead of travel booking, travel takem, I am using booking takem, and that time also I can pass the autofill in the create operations. But in update and delete operation, anyway we don't need CID. And let me do one more form, this third form. In this third form we will update some field. So suppose I want to change this date for this particular travel ID. So travel ID is the 4188. So I can do the update operation also, but I will use, instead of create operation, I will use the update as well. So in this modify entity, you have to use entity, or you can use in this way entities. I can use one second, modifies entities of yi underscore travel takem. You have to specify here your root entity name, and then you can specify which entity you want to modify. This is the longer form of the modify statement. You can specify multiple entities. Here till now we have discussed sorted form. I will use for this variant longer form, so you can understand other form also. Entity, I want to modify this travel takem, and what kind of operation you want to do. I want to do the update operation, so you have to specify update. And this is the third form. Here you have to specify fields first. When you specify fields and then with the field tab, then control structure you no need to pass explicitly like we have passed here. For example, let me do the fields tab here, fields tab, and you can pass the fields tab comma separated. I just want to change the begin date, so that's enough. You can do with multiple fields, but I just want to change begin field, that begin field only I want to pass. You no need to pass value in only the fields which you want to update, and then you have to pass with the field tab. You have to pass, then you have to pass internal table again with the value hash. You have to specify dynamically, or you can declare explicitly, and you can do. Obviously you have to pass the key fields first, percentage key, travel ID. Obviously we have one key field only, travel ID. In this case we have 1 2 3 4 5 6. What is the travel ID? I forgot. 4188. I want to change the date, 4188, 4188. And what date you want to change, that also you have to specify here. So in this case you have to change the date. You can directly use data, or you can directly use begin date which you want to change. So begin date I can use begin date. I want to change to the, instead of 4 I can use March date 2024. and 0324, something like that. I can give some date. I want to modify this particular date. So now what I will do, I'm getting some error key. So what it is saying, so this close bracket is modify the statement. This is there, this is there. We have to put one space. Okay, now it is fine. Shift F1, and obviously you have to do the commit entities, then only it will reflect, or you have to get the failed and mapped entities. Mapped entity you will not get, only failed entity will be filled if something goes wrong. But in this case I don't want to fill, I just want to commit the changes whatever I am doing. And in this case you can see I no need to pass the control structure, because I have passed the filled list. It will automatically implicitly update this control structure as a on. So that's very important. Let me do F9, control F3, and just check this date got changed or not for 4188. Let me do F9. It ran successfully, I think so. Let me do travel TechM 4188, country 29. 4189 got created. 4188 you can say it got changed to 24. It was previously 29, it got changed. And 4189 also created because I didn't commented above code. You can see create with 4189. I would have commented, but you can see 4188 got changed to 0324. 0324. Like that you can use this variant where you can directly pass the filled list here and no need to pass explicitly the control structure. That's very important. Since I was showing that this particular statement modify entities can perform with multiple entity, so let me show you that you can specify multiple operation on same entity as well. So I have executed one statement, I can specify multiple statements. Suppose I want to delete something, so entity, I will specify the entity name. This time what I will do, instead of updating I will do delete. So delete always work with from, as I told you, you have to specify value operator and you have to specify your key field which based on you want to delete. In this case you have to pass the travel ID equal to, and you can see what already created based on that. 4188 I want to delete, so let me delete this one, control C, and let me modify some other entity. 4189 I will modify. I will modify 4189 with the date 24, currently is 29, and 4188 I will delete, and I will do the commit entity. Shift F1. This time it will not only perform this modify operation, this will perform this modify. You can perform operation on the booking and booking supplement also in the same modify statement, because you are using the longer form of the modify entities. So if you have multiple entities to modify, you always have to use longer form, because you want to update database together in one statement. That's very important. So let me do F9. So this is the sorted form whatever we did with modify entity, where we can run at a time one operation on one entity. Multiple instances means I can pass the multiple along with this travel ID. I can want to create the multiple travel ID, I can create multiple as well. But in this case you can not only perform on the multiple instances of particular entity, you can perform the operation on the multiple entities. So this is very important. Let me do F9 and show you what happened. Control F3. On commit entity always use one time. Here I have used two time, but you should always use one time, because if you use one time it will perform both the operation together. So let me do F9, control F3, F9, or not F8, F9. So nothing to show, but what happened here, first thing, it would have changed the 4189 to 24. Let me refresh the data. You can see 4189 it changed to 24. Second thing, 4188 got deleted. You can see, you can't see 4188. And third thing, the one new ID got created with 4190 with the 2098. So this is how we can perform multiple operations through one modify entities statement. Now last form I just want to show just the simple thing I will do. I will modify again, I will use the modify the same statement, but I will use the single entity again, modify entity, a little bit different. Entity, modify entity, and I can pass the entity name yi underscore takecam, and directly I want to update this update instead of update I want to do update, but update along with the set field. I will do set field with filled tab. I can pass again here value operator has, and you can directly pass here which value you want to update. So suppose I want to update this value, control C. The only advantage here, we no need to pass neither we have to pass the control structure, nor we have to pass the field list explicitly. So this is the advantage. Control C, control V, control V. Let me comment it out. About statement, control shift less than, and this also not needed. I don't want to create again and again new entities. Control shift less than, and this time I will change 4190 with 25 date, different date. 4190 currently have 29. I want to change with 20. Except F1. In this case, neither I have specified the control structure nor I have specified the field list. Still it will change. Let me do F9. Control F3. Let me do F9 and go to again my table and refresh the data. 4190 currently have 29 date. It will convert to the 25. You can say it got converted to the 25 date. So this is how you can check. Now this form you should not use because it will take a lot of performance issue. The more the number of fields, the more time it will take. So most of the time, if you have 1 or 2 fields, that you can use, but mostly you have to use this form only, where you have to specify field list and you have to specify value. The advantage, you no need to specify the control structure explicitly because that will be filled using this field list. Most of the time I also use this only, or you can use this also. And for the deleting case, you have to mandatorily use from value, and you have to pass the not only in deleting, you in case of execute case also. Now let's discuss about some of the points about in the dynamic form, which I didn't explain. Let me show you, and that is also not a big thing. In last video I already explained, you have to create the table explicitly. Instead of the read, you have to create for the create table, and you have to fill that table, and you have to fill once you fill that table, instead of here read operation, you have to use modified operations. Control space you will do, and control space you will do what you want to do, create by operation, and you have to specify your create entity which you want to create, and you want to here you have to fill the internal table name which you have created on go, that you have to fill here, which you are filling here. Whatever the table you have filling here, that table, same table you have to pass here, and the result in this case we will not get any result. If you want to pass here map, in case of create, you will get the mapped table that you will get here, and same thing you have to do, and that you have to perform this operations, read entity operation tab, and failed data you will get like this. This, if you don't know how to do dynamically, you watch out my read operations, and just you have to change, instead of create you have, read, you have to just change to create. It will create data automatically. I don't want to spend that much time, so that is the reason I just shown you those all the form, and the modify form for your practice you can do. And I modify form also I shown when I explained the read operation. You can watch out that video, you will get to know how to do that modify operation using the operational tab. Now let's done about practical. Let's just discuss few point about theory which I might have missed in the PPT, then we will wind up with this video. So these are the important point which I just want to know. I know there is a lot of theory. Just we should not use the modify statement in during your save sequence. The save sequence, you can say this method will trigger check before save, adjust number, save, and save modified, and clean up. In those statement, in those methods, we should not use our modify statement, otherwise you will get dumped. There is only one save sequence method is there, which is finalize method. There we have to use modify statement to finalize our data. There we can use. Apart from that we should not use in save sequence. During the save sequence, what all are the methods called, we should not use modify statement. That's very important apart from the finalize method is the exception. In the interaction phase, we can use modify statement whenever we want. And second statement, the RAP modify standard operation do not return any result parameter. So you have to read back. As I told you, it will not return any result back. If you want to see your operation is performed successfully or not, you have to read back the data from the database and check it got successfully or not. And in case of execute, or we can say in case of function and method, we have the importing and exporting parameter, both result parameter also there. But in standard operation, we don't have result parameter. Third thing, you should not use your modify statement inside the loop, because it is updating the database, and something it's same like select inside the loop. You should not do that inside the loop. And last thing, and last but most important thing, you have to use commit entities statement if you are calling your modify statement outside your behavior pool classes, somewhere else in some other class or in some other BO entity. So you have to make sure your changes will be commit entities. Commit entities, same way it will work. It will trigger the commit work of it will close the database SAP LUW, and it will, if you don't know about what is LUW, SAP LUW and database LUW, I have already created one video. I will give you that video description in the link as well. You can watch out what is this LUW. So these are the basic points you have to remember whenever you are performing the modify statement in on your BO. Then with that, we have done with all the things related to modify statement. I might have missed something. We will discuss in upcoming video, like the privilege thing, the same like the read operation. We have the privilege, and we have the one authority check. Some small thing we have missed that we will discuss during we will use real time those modify statement. And with that, thank you and happy learning. Before going to next video, don't forget to like and subscribe this channel, and write it down whatever you feel in comment section.